I literally read it so many times. I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
Right?
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
The Deering Acting Studio Podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mornings with Matt show, Deering Acting Studio Podcast. Today we're going to talk about why work. But before we do that, I'm going to make sure that this thing is actually giving us sound. So can we do that, Joey, really quick? I want to test that.
Okay.
All right, let me see here. Oh, good. We are getting sound. I wasn't getting sound on my end, so it's always hard to tell. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the show. Ba-bow, 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 ba-bow. All right, so today we're talking about why work, and it's interesting. There's so much going on right now, but this is not new. I mean, this has been going on for ever, since the beginning of time. Basically, the people that work end up reaping a harvest. Like that's how you get to collect, so to speak. And so people, and I don't want to say people, but there's an amount of fear that's going on that's been getting pushed, I believe, on people quite a bit, and that is this idea of like uncertain times, and things are so uncertain, and we don't know what's gonna be next. Well, guess what? That's the way it's always been. I mean, it was like that 3 years ago, where it was uncertain, because who knows really? I mean, only God really knows what the next step is. So there is no safe job. I always say that, And I remember loving to hear Jim Carrey's story about his dad. I guess his dad was very funny. And he would come home and he liked to do like physical comedy for his kids. And Jim Carrey described his father as one of the funniest people that he knows, and that his dad could have really been a great comedian and speaker, preacher type character. That's how he described his dad. But he took what was the safe road, and he became an accountant. And Jim Carrey remembers this time in their family's life when his dad worked for a company that had been around forever, and the company fired his dad. They downsized and they just fired him. So all of a sudden, their family was just left without any income, and this is what left an impression on Jim Carrey's life. His dad said, "Son, you can fail at anything, so why not fail at what you love?" Because he was feeling like a failure in the moment. He was feeling like he had failed his family, and realizing that he took on a, quote, safe job that wasn't safe. And there are no safe jobs. I look at my sister right now. She's working at Bed Bath & Beyond, and you would think that's a big chain company. be safe. She's worked her way up the company. She's very successful, doing very well. And then I just saw news the other day that the Bed Bath & Beyond that's in our neighborhood is going out of business. And I hope that's not telling of the entire company. But you think, dang, not even that is safe, right? I'm just reading a book right now, and the author is talking about his beginnings in the tire business. And he started in the tire business because somebody was like, hey, this is actually a pretty big business, and you could get into this and get a company car. He was a young kid and just wanted a company car. And so he started working for this company, and the boss hired him, but the company car thing wasn't going to come for like years. So he grinded, he worked for this company. And the thing about tires, this is like a saying in the tire industry, is like, if you have something, then a truck brought it to you. And so if you sell tires to trucks, you're pretty much bulletproof as far as the like a company goes, right? Well, so anyway, he gets this great job and he works his way up early. He's a smart kid. He's in his early 20s, mid 20s. He's married. He got himself a new house. He's got kids. And this company, the owner, they'd been around 60 years. The owner passes away. The son takes over. Well, the son didn't share the same work ethic. Didn't share the same like drive to push the vision forward. And so the company then ceased to be something that this guy really like could connect to. And so he went out on a limb. He started his own company with another guy. And so he was like the marketing guy, marketing and sales, and this other guy was like, he knew the industry really well. And so anyway, long story short, they build up this company and sell it to a Fortune 500 company, and they end up, just making millions and millions of dollars off of their own company, right? And I'm just in the beginning of the book, but that's essentially going to be the story. I always know where it's going, but that's where it's going. And so, but the point was, he was working for an industry that's bulletproof, working for a company that had been around for 60 years. There was no pandemic. There was no anything weird that happened. The company just went under. It's just what happened. So there's nothing safe there. Now, what's interesting is he left the company, started his own thing. And within a couple years after he left, the company went under and left, I don't remember how many, but a high double digits people just out of work, just nothing to do. Like they're like Jim Carrey's dad. They just had nothing then, and they were feeling defeated. And so there's a certain type of person who ask themselves this question. It's like, why do I work? Well, I work because I'm a human being. I work because you realize very quickly that when you don't work, your life is going to be unfulfilling. You need purpose. And so when I say work, you could be working at a nonprofit, you could be volunteering your time, but there's got to be some kind of an effort put out for you as a human being to feel fulfilled. And it's interesting because as kids, we try to avoid work. We try to avoid our homework. We try to avoid doing the work that it takes to learn the lesson or to pass the test. Like we want it to be easy. And then I don't think that goes away. I think as adults, we do the same thing where we're always trying to avoid work. We're always trying to get to be where it's easy. It's like, why do we do that to ourselves? Because if we're honest and we look back at the times that we're the most proud, the times that we felt our best, it's when we made the decision to work or after having put out a lot of work. work is like, what is work? Work is energy. It is energy that I've dispersed out. And there's the thing, the law of the universe, and what you put out is what you're going to get back. So if I'm putting effort into something, eventually something's going to come back to me, the amount that I'm willing to push. We talked about the boulder the other day. It's a similar concept. If I'm pushing and I'm pushing, eventually I will get to the place where it pays off. But you gotta work. And I think that the different, there's two types of people. There are the people that get to go to work, and there are the people that have to go to work. And I think the majority of people have to go to work. And I know this because of rush hour. Rush hour wouldn't exist if people didn't have to go to work. Think about that. Why? Because if you were working because you got to go to work, then you would just avoid the rush hour. You would just wake up 2 hours earlier and beat the crowd. You'd stay an hour later so that you didn't have rush hour on the way home. Because you get to go to work, you get to do it. You're excited for it. And we all have that. We all have that ability to create our own destiny, whether or not you are looking to start a business, whether you own a business, or whether you work inside somebody else's business. Opportunities are everywhere, but they require work. And there are certain people who will stay an extra hour, who will come in an hour early, who want that. And does that get noticed over time? Of course it does. I mean, of course. There are so many success stories, rags to riches, of people who just did that small thing. So how do you become that minority that thinks in this way? I get to go to work. And I mean really get to. Whether that be yard work, family work, church work, nonprofit work, donate your time work, or just work within the company that you work for. Because they're the minority. The ones who say they get to do it are the minority. And I believe that it's a very simple and yet really tough, because everything from our lives starts right up here in our heads. It is the thoughts that create what we do and what we become. So it's all about the story that you're telling yourself. You can frame any story, you can frame any situation to be positive or to be negative. You can find a way to tell yourself a story that gets you excited to wake up in the morning, that gets you excited to stay a little bit later. You work because you want to, but you have to find what I believe is the driving force. I was having this conversation with a few of our Chaos Comedy members the other night, and I was talking about my philosophy on comedy, because I take comedy so seriously, which is a funny thing to say. I take comedy seriously. That's hilarious. But I take comedy very seriously, and here's why. I picture that if somebody comes to let's say they come to one of our comedy shows, and let's say they're even rude. Let's say they complain, and they're complaining about the popcorn. They want $2 off, and just one of those people that are just a pain, and they're just in a bad mood, and they kind of hit you with certain things. Now, I could tell myself one of two stories. I don't know this person. I can choose right in that moment to tell myself one of two stories. Story number one: this person is rude. They are a rude person who doesn't like me or this place, and they don't deserve to be here. I wish they weren't here. That's one story. And that story will affect my molecules, the cells inside of me, and it will affect the outcome of the evening. The other story I could tell myself is, wow, this person doesn't know me. Instead of me saying I don't know them, like they don't know me. And I don't know them. This behavior is strange. It's strange to treat somebody you don't know in this way. What must be going on in their life, or what must have happened in their life at some point in time that caused this energy when they walked in? It makes no sense. The only conclusion I could come up with is that something's going on in their life. There's something they're struggling with, and it could be big. It could be huge. They could have just found out that their grandmother has cancer or something. Like, I mean, they could have the weight of the world on them. Why would I take it personally? Why would I take their rudeness personally? They don't know me. They're not trying to hurt me, I don't think, because they can't hurt me. I mean, they don't know me. They're just having a bad day. So I could tell myself that story and go, wow, this person's probably going through some stuff. I feel obligated right now to try to help them forget about their troubles for just 1 hour, to laugh and to feel good for even just 1 hour if something bad's going on. I want to help them feel better. If I tell myself that story, it'll change the outcome of the show, and the show's going to be better because my why is different. So when it comes to work, what are you asking yourself to do? So when it comes to my work and it comes to my comedy and it comes to like whether or not I do the work to watch my shows back and take notes, and whether I do the work to prepare for the classes, and whether I do the work to show up for the show, it all depends on my why, and do I believe my why? Am I committed to my why? And that's what you got to ask yourself is if I'm unhappy in my job, why? Why am I unhappy? Why am I not excited? Why am I not lifting everybody up? I'll let this actor stay nameless, but somebody came up to me and they had just landed a job. You know who you are. Came and talked to me after class, and this person was going to quit their job, and they had just started. They just started their job, and I was like, "Oh, well, why are you gonna quit?" "Oh, well, I was just getting in the way of this being acting. They were gonna miss an audition because of this job that they just got." And I said, all right, well, you could do that. Yeah, you could quit the job for this one audition. But why? Why would you do that? And they're like, huh? And I was like, well, how many interactions do you think you have at your job every day? And they're like, actually, probably hundreds. I'm like, okay, great. Of those hundreds of people, how many are you going to see again? I don't know, probably none. I mean, it's just a quick interaction. Oh, okay. Well, then why don't you practice your acting during your job? Practice your accents. Practice just getting better at being a good human being. And then why don't you focus on gratitude? Focus on, not everybody got that job that you got. Like, you just got a job. Don't take that for granted. I mean, somebody is willing to pay you money to do something. I mean, it's incredible. And this person also is likes to work out, and it's a part of their life as well. And I go, great. So why don't you, in between customer interactions, just do a squat and add that to your routine. And you do that, now you're doubling up on your fitness, you're doubling up on your acting, and you're going to work, and you can be super grateful. And then I go, and then think about this, because the person was like, well, this company's just not very flexible, so I'm worried they're just not flexible. And I go, why would a company not be flexible? You just started. They don't know you, bro. Or bruh, if you're a girl or boy, since I'm keeping this person nameless. They don't know you. So what do? Well, you set little mini goals inside this company. And my mini goal is going to be, okay, why don't I come in and I'm going to make these people laugh. I'm going to connect with these people. I'm going to build relationships. I'm going to find a way to make this company better. I'm going to find a way to give. I'm going to stay a little late. I'm going to help in ways that nobody else is helping. I'm going to get noticed by the boss. Even though I just started, I'm going to get noticed. The boss is going to go, who is that? Who is that person? I'm going to build that relationship. I'm going to earn the trust. And then once I've done that, then I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to let them know who I am. I'm going to say, sir or madam, my boss, let me tell you about me. I'm pursuing acting, and every now and then these auditions will come up. And I totally understand the policies here and why they're in place. It makes perfect sense. And I 100% love and appreciate the fact that I'm here. And so thank you. I'm wondering if there's any way that you could help me brainstorm. What should I do in these circumstances when one of these opportunities comes my way? I mean, this is a dream of mine that I'm working toward, and it doesn't happen often, but when it does, and this would be months down the line when you've built the relationship. But what you've done is you've set up your boss to be your hero. Your boss is going to go, oh, okay, all right. So how long is that? A couple hours. It would be like, maybe 2 hours total, or in order for me to leave, audition, come back. Okay, and then you can ask questions, ask good questions. So what should I do? Should I call in? Take a sick day? Just try to get my shift covered. Whatever happens, and then the boss is going to go, here's what you would do. You come to me, I'll help you out. Or yes, you get covered, or you do this, or you do that. But there's going to be a way, and they're going to help you find that way. And then you're going to have your cake and eat it too. So now you're doubling up on your acting. You're doubling up on your fitness. You're learning new life skills. You're grateful for the new job that you have. And you're building relationships that are going to allow you to still do everything you want to do. So there's two different stories here that we can tell ourselves, and the stories are going to take us into different directions. And one story leads to quitting your job, and now you don't have a job. Is that a good idea? I don't know that that's a good idea. Just because the job wasn't flexible, why should they be? Did you set the expectations that you needed flexibility when you got hired? If you didn't set that expectation, why should they be flexible? There's no reason they should be flexible. They're giving you the job. You should be grateful. You should be saying thank you for the job. And when you approach it from that place, and you have a strategy in place to be successful, to help them, to be of service, they will find a way. See, it comes back to work. They will find a way to work back for you. So think about this. Let's say you've been at that company for 6 months and you've been putting in the work. And I mean, you show up early. You smile. Everybody connects to you. You stay late. You go the extra mile. You do what it takes. You think once a month when you need a couple hours off, they're not going to find a way? Of course they're going to find a way. Of course they are. And what if they don't? What if they're still not flexible? Guess what? You work harder. You work harder. Because the payday's around the corner. It just is. But it doesn't come from quitting. And some people are like, well, they tell the stories of other people. Well, those are other people. Those are different people. And sometimes there are these people called headhunters, and they come out and they steal people from companies to bring them into their company and stuff like that. Well, Fine. That's somebody's job. They're working hard to recruit you or whatever it is. That's different. At least you got recruited. You're not out there giving up. But even when you get recruited, you better be darn sure that you've done the math that includes more than your slight bump in pay. Hopefully you've done the math and realized, okay, how many years is it going to take me to catch up to the relationships that I've already built here at the company I'm at? And you've done the math to say, okay, why am I unhappy in the company I'm in now? Because my happiness is my responsibility. And so why is it that I'm unhappy? Because if I change jobs, it'll be shiny and new, and I'll get that little fun burst for a couple minutes, for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, and then guess what? It becomes work. Like when it's new, it feels fun. And that's where people get themselves in trouble, I think, is as soon as it stops being fun, they quit. Not realizing that the fun is the work. If you figure that out, once you get into that place, you could work for anybody. You could do anything in any industry and be wildly successful. This is why people who make their first million, lose their first million, end up making $1 million again. This is why. This is why they say, if something happened, and let me ask you, Joey, you're here. This makes sense to me. There's something happens, whatever it is, and all of a sudden everybody on the planet starts back at zero. Everybody's equal, but then everyone's got a chance to succeed, the same chance. The money will go back to the people that already had it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They'll find a way to get back in the position they were in because that's the type of person they are. Elon Musk is the type of person that he is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100p.
And so, I mean, you know, and there's all this funny stuff going on right now with so it's actually hard to even mention anyone's name these days because it's like, are they controversial? Because I wanted to use Bill Gates' name, and I'm like, I don't know. Is he trying to vaccinate the world? He might be, but we don't get to know that kind of stuff. But let's take Bill Gates, okay? Here's a guy, richest man on the planet at one point in time. Richest man on the planet. And what does he do? He quits, essentially, when he's at the top of Microsoft. Of course, he still owns a ton of stock, so, you know, he's doing okay. And he stops running the company. What does he do? Well, he turns his focus to his foundation, to his nonprofit. He goes to work on something else. He goes to work on giving away his money, which is a lot of work, by the way. When you have billions and billions and billions of dollars and you got to decide where it goes, it's a lot of work. And so he works at it, probably every day. And hopefully he's not trying to vaccine us and track us and be a bad dude like the rumors are out there. Because I don't know that those are not true. I don't know that they are true. And I'm curious, honestly. But hopefully not. You know why? Because he's a hard worker. And if he's determined to do that, I'm worried he's going to get it done. And that's what you should really look at. That's what you should really be worried about, is to go, if someone has evil motives and they've got like grit, guess what? Somebody has to oppose that with an equal or more amount of grit. That's a whole nother subject right there, is how to fight against what you feel is working against you, what you feel is the evil that's coming against you. Well, guess what? Go to work. Go to work. That's the way to do it. Because otherwise you end up a victim. And you end up somebody that is constantly making excuses and saying it's somebody else's fault instead of going, okay, well, guess what? If this person is taking advantage of me, then, and I don't feel like there's anything I can do about it. Why? What did I do? Or what did I not do to put myself in a position of weakness like this? And how do I fix it? You go to work. That's what you do. This is all over the Bible. They were working since day one. My wife told me this the other day, the interesting point about work. People have this fantasy about the Garden of Eden, that Adam and Eve are just chilling up there next to God. It's like there's fruit everywhere, and it's just like, it's heaven, But if you read closely between the lines, what did God task Adam with? The first thing. You name and describe every living creature and every plant and thing. Like you because you rule it, you got to name it. You know how much work that is? You know how much daily grind it takes to go through every single species and be like, you're a toad and you're a frog. And like, what's the difference? Well, you got bumps and you're smaller than him. You know what I mean? And what about him? He's kind of this. No, he's a Gila monster. What? Okay. Now, I know, obviously, people have added to some of that. But the story is interesting because a lot of times people miss that in the story. So and you can say whatever you want about the Bible, one way or the other, whether or not this is real or it's a really great analogy that we should learn from. Either way, it's fine. So let's just for argument's sake, let's say it's a really good analogy. Okay, so most people see that and go, well, if they hadn't eaten the apple, we'd still be just chilling. No, you'd be working because God knew you got to work. The apple was something totally different. The apple was not how to not do stuff. The apple was not how to just sit on your butt all day and eat fruit. The apple was the tree of knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil. And that's why God didn't want you to eat the apple. I've seen it as a parent. And it's so tough because your kids, they're so innocent when they're born. They don't know anything. They haven't been impacted by the world yet. They haven't eaten the apple, so to speak. But the world affects them. They see a show. They hear mom and dad talking. They get bumped into by their siblings. Like the world just happens to people. And the world is the apple. And once you understand good and evil, once you've eaten the apple, once the kid crosses over and they know what they know, because this is interesting. I've talked about this before. If you do something wrong, but you sincerely didn't know it was wrong, with your whole heart, you actually thought it was right, no problem, honestly. But now you know it's wrong. Now you know. So the next time you do it, guilty. And guilt and fear, that is the root of our just beating the crap out of ourselves and feeling bad. And so that's the devil. That's the apple. That's the thing. God's like, don't eat that. Don't eat that one. Because once you know, life becomes very hard for you. Like really, really hard. But then, Adam ate the apple, and we all tend to eat the apple. I think all my kids have eaten the apple, and they know good from evil, bad from good, positive from negative, and sometimes they choose the negative. I do too. And the goal is to try not to, the best you can, but that's the way it is. That's the world we live in. And so what did God do when they ate the apple? This is a great story. This story is, once you dig deep and you want to know more, it's interesting. God says, all right, Adam, now you're going to tend the field. Well, he was already tending the field. He was just tending the garden of, things were good. And he had like an executive job and a jacket and a company car, and God's like, yeah, good. Well, guess what? You get to start over. Okay. And you're going to work the ground, and it's not going to be easy. So now you're already working, and you already working 24/7, but now you're going to be working, and things are going to come hard for you. It's going to be difficult. You're going to touch the land, and it's not necessarily just going to work. You're going to have to do it. I've done it all for you. Now you get to see what it's like to do it for yourself. And this is why I saw the statistic. Only 5% of businesses that start make it beyond year 5. 5%. That is such a small number. And this is why this is the work. Most people can't do it day in and day out, so they have to work for somebody else, have to. If they can change their story to get to, then they can really be fulfilled, grow, have awesome work lives, and still be in balance, because you just may not be one of those types of people that should own a business. There's actually that is a thing. But what happens is people will leave a company thinking the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And they're like, well, you own a company, and I know you, and I'm better than you. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to start my own company. And guess what? 95% of them don't continue. Why? Because they didn't know how hard it was. They didn't know they were already living in the Garden of Eden. Everything was already done. They just had to tend it, but the fruit was already growing. When you go out on your own, you got to go onto that hard dirt. And you realize, like, oh man, I had no idea. And so you quit, and then you end up with another job. And then if you don't change your mindset, the cycle will continue, and then you'll be unhappy at the next job. And always looking for that thing, always looking for purpose in your life, instead of deciding now, right now, to be grateful. Napoleon Hill says that is the master key to riches, is gratitude, saying thank you, being grateful for what you already have, and looking around and going, wow, I'm so lucky. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you can get to that place, you change the story that you're telling yourself, and you feel rich. Well, that's all riches are. We'll take my wife, for example. She's not a jewelry girl. She likes to spend money. She likes to buy things, this and that. She likes to save. She loves to shop and bargain. And, those are things she enjoys doing. She just happens to not be a jewelry girl for whatever reason. So if I went out and spent, let's just say, $12,000 on a ring, my wife would get nervous and anxious that she's carrying around $12,000 on her hand. It wouldn't bring her joy. She wouldn't feel richer. But if she got the same ring that looks the same, and it was fake, and it was a $12 ring, and it made her feel pretty, it made her feel good, or it made her feel like it matched her outfit or something, she's going to feel rich. So think about that. The riches could actually have a reverse impact on somebody, depending on the somebody. So it's all about how you feel about what you have. And most people don't focus on being grateful for what they have, whether it be the work, the job, the stuff. Instead, they focus on what they don't have. And then they start telling themselves a story about victimhood and a story about why things are so bad for them. And then guess what? Things tend to continue to be bad for them. Because nobody wants to be around somebody that's not grateful. Nobody wants to be around somebody that doesn't bring joy and love and light into the room. It's not fun. We all know that. You call that one person, whoever it is, and every time you call them, they're like, and you're like, guess what? I stopped calling you. Or I stop answering the phone, or I only answer the phone when I know I can like handle it, because it's going to be tough talking to somebody who's always down on themselves. But if you're constantly grateful, you're constantly filled up, you're constantly working on the joy in your life, people are attracted to you. They want to get closer to you. They're going to ask you questions. You're going to have things to say. And they're going to go like, how do you do it, man? You're always happy. Well, it's a choice. It's a choice that you make. And it begins with the work. So this was a topic that just hit me this morning, and I wanted to talk about this. I think we've exhausted it here, but I want everyone who's out there listening right now, and everyone who listens here in the future, to wrap your mind around this concept and go, okay, where I'm at right now is because of me. Everything I have, everything I am is because of me. And let me be grateful for who I know and what I do right now. Let me look at it and really appreciate it. And then let me set goals. Let me look at the future in front of me and where I want to go, and have no limitations. So there's a difference between setting goals and then limiting yourself. I don't want you to limit yourself in any way. I want you to set goals. But you don't, when you're setting goals and you look at what could be, that doesn't mean that you focus on that and you let go of what you have in front of you. All it does is you go, okay, if that's where I want to go, and here's where I am, and here's what I've done to get to where I want to be, and this has only gotten me so far. Well, obviously I'm gonna need to exert more effort. I'm gonna have to put in more work to get to where I want to be, because I'm not there yet. I mean, it's pretty simple math. Energy in, energy back. All right. That's it, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been the Mornings with Matt show, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. I know Joey was a little quiet this morning. He got up a little bit late, so he's still waking up from the Benny drill that he had to take last night. So I just kind of grabbed the microphone. But we love you guys, and I appreciate you being here, Joey, and getting me all set up. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Help us spread that light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.